Good morning. What are we today? Wednesday. I think it's the second to last session that I have scheduled for the Transformational Horsemanship series, and it's been so fun to have these conversations with you. Some awesome comments that have been popping up, and I've been getting loads of PMs and emails off the back of it with, just information about where it is that you're at and what's going on and how to create a way forward, most excitingly. So who's out there today? What are you up to? I know for a lot of you it'll be later on in the evening if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. For us, a lot of us in Australia and New Zealand, good morning, Nan included, is in the midst of really high temperatures. I know some people are desperate for rain. We are under a mountain. We're in quite a coastal mountainous area, and so we tend to be lucky when it comes to maintaining the green all year round. So I empathise with those of you who are waiting for rain and I empathise with those of you who are in the midst of winter, because that's kind of a long trudge as well. Today's topic, we're talking about practicing your dream instead of waiting for it. This is something really close to my heart and was kind of the catalyst, I guess, or the concept for me was the catalyst to completely change my focus from being goal oriented towards being 100% practice and process oriented. For me, it's been really liberating because there is a intrinsic drive. There's a magnetism that comes with that shift. And even when I was putting the course together, which is called the All-In Pathway in Joyride, even when I was putting that together, I felt so much more excited about it and was really drawn to go through the process myself than I have been previously in the past when it came to just talking about goals and setting goals, and just felt really dry and kind of boring, if I'm honest. I could get excited about a goal, obviously, but then there was this juxtaposition between the place that I was at currently and the place that I really wanted to be. And that came from a position of lack, that feeling that you're not there now, that the space between feels quite large depending on what the magnitude of that goal is. And it's very much something that's posited from the outside. With that shift then comes this philosophy, comes this concept, which is something that I'm preaching and practicing and really putting all my energy behind, which is really identifying your dream, understanding your dream to be the broader vision of what it is you ultimately not only want to create with your horse, but what you want to be. And I think that this is so important to understand, that the process of actually engaging and working with our horses is one of transformation. And what you become as a result of that process, what you're able to embrace as part of that journey and really learn and take on board and evolve with, is the whole point. The results are secondary to really committing yourself to and fully marinating in that process. So it's not that results aren't important or they are superfluous. It's just that generally results are outside of our control. They are not controllable by us. And for the most part, what I've noticed is that when it comes to traditional goal setting methods that I've worked with riders, I just lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? Yeah, that's right. The process, or the actual emphasis rather, is on what needs to be done in very practical terms and not what you need to practice in terms of behaviors and qualities and characteristics. Mental strength and resilience is an integral part of any process-based plan. That's something that regardless of your discipline, regardless of your interest, regardless of your aspirations, that has to be taken care of, because without the ability to really understand how you navigate the waters that you're moving through, in terms of you creating your experiences, you being able to choose decisions that are beneficial towards the outcomes that you are wanting to create, you being able to recognize when your self-talk, which is how you intentionally talk to yourself, is either derailing you and further causing you to cement some limiting or negative beliefs which are diverging you from what it is you want to experience, and the opposite. Those things are absolutely 100% non-negotiable. You have to be able to jump into those aspects and really understand how to manage yourself in order to not only have a successful partnership with your horse, but to be able to feel good about yourself, and to be able to feel the positive expressions that comes with having a relationship and being able to create a really effective partnership. Without that, things become very transactional. And I talked about this right at the start of this series, where the difference between transformational horsemanship is that engagement in the journey, is understanding that this is a process of self-development ultimately, and that in order for us to be able to get what it is that we want to experience with our horses in terms of trust, in terms of partnership, we have to look to ourselves first. Transactional horsemanship is about really just riding for a result. It's almost, not always, but often it is disregardful, not necessarily consciously, of what is being offered to you by the horse, and simply it's just, let's create the quickest means possible to produce the result that it is that we're after. So those are the two fundamental differences between those things. In order to practice your dream, or the idea of practicing your dream, comes from a really different place, because it's not future oriented, it's present focused. It comes with getting up in the morning, engaging with your horse and saying, who is it that I need to be right now in order to offer him or her the best deal possible? Who is it that I need to be in order to ensure that I'm responsive and not reactive? Who is it that I need to be in order to start to manifest and cultivate the qualities that I know are integral to us being able to establish a successful partnership? When you do that on a daily basis, and when you commit to those practices, and the two different practices that I refer to within that umbrella are your transformables, so they are your being practices, and your committables, so the doing practices, what it is you actually need to physically do on a daily basis to get to where it is that you want, or to experience what it is that you want in the now. The hinge point, or the point where we can go a little bit wrong, is to wait for something to come to us, is to wait for outside evidence for us to allow ourselves to feel a certain way, or to feel a sense of progress or accomplishment, instead of understanding that if we want to experience more confidence, we need to practice being confident. If we want to feel more grateful, we need to practice being grateful. If we want to experience more kindness, we need to extend kindness. We need to practice being kind. We need to practice being brave. So these become actionable tasks that we involve ourselves with on a day-to-day basis. These become things that we actually step into and engage with, rather than wait to come to us as a result of a certain amount of, or a certain number of external criteria lining up. Practicing the smallest version of your dream, or practicing your dream on a daily basis, is all about that. It's really identifying where it is that you are wanting, or what it is you're wanting to ultimately experience, that vision, that dream. And the difference between the goal and the dream is that the dream is very intrinsically motivated. It loses the shoulds and the have tos and the probably should be doing thises. And it's motivated by, wow, what is it really that matters? Like, what is it that actually I want to be doing with my horse? And then we refine that down to the smallest version of our dream. So what is the version of that I can begin right now with the resources that I have, with the time available to me right now? What is it that I can do? What I have, where I'm at right now with what I have. That's the point that we're beginning from. And when you use that definition, where you are now with what you have right now, without needing permission from anyone else, you're able to actually start practicing that dream and bringing it to life as a daily practice with your horse. When that happens, you're open to opportunity. Life and riding revolves or molds itself around you instead of trying to actually fit yourself into a specific formula to produce a specific outcome. One really great quote, which rang true for me and is something that I've used to sort of motivate myself along the way, is, if you've got one eye on the result, you've only got one eye on the path. And the irony of that is that it's always going to be process. It's always going to be focusing on actively practicing what it is that you want to do that brings about the results anyway. So regardless of which camp you see yourself in, this is going to be the most effective way to get the results that you want. Hi Nan, hi Cindy. Oh, rain for Ginger. Sorry about that. It must be you're wintering though, aren't you? Are you wintering? I think so. Noreen, good evening. Carmen, yay. Awesome, Nan. Yeah. So there's a lot of really positive attributes that come as a result of this. It's also really inclusive of the 4 intelligences that we've been referring to. So when you are practicing your dream on a daily basis, then who you are being and what it is you are becoming becomes as important as what it is that you are doing. And that is always 100% within your control and influence. That's always something that is fully able to be tweaked or adjusted or, contributed to by you. The big thing that I often have conversations with people about, and the stuck point, I think, for lots of us is what you're committing to proportional to your dream? What you're doing on a daily basis in alignment with that? Because it's all well and good to set goals. It's all well and good to create a dream. It's all well and good to even define that or refine that down to the smallest version of your dream. But if you're not actually committing on a daily basis to what it is you need to do to bring that to life, though, it's never going to line up. It's never going to be something that is an experience. It's always going to stay in that intangible realm of dreams. Be sure of that. Be really brutal with yourself in terms of how it is you're spending your time. Time management can be a huge issue. And I know for loads of us, especially if you've got work and family and so many demands on you that pull you in different directions, it can be really tricky to understand what boundaries you may need to create in order to be able to carve out some time in your day. And it's a constant negotiation of understanding, what it is you need to adjust, where it is potentially you're spending time that is not useful for you. So time in unconscious distraction that actually doesn't feed you or nourish you in any way. The internet is a really good example of that. It can be really fulfilling and really useful, and there are so many amazing things available on the internet, but it's also a huge distraction and time waste. If you're losing half an hour or an hour a day on mindless scrolling, that's 7 hours a week. It's 21 hours or 28 hours a month. What are we? Even more than that, because it's longer than 4 weeks, and you add that up over a year, and that's a lot of time we could be spending on other things. So it's not about judgment or bashing yourself over the head with the naughty stick. It's just like, okay, this isn't working for me. I can see that I'm doing something really mindless here. What is it that I can introduce in a different way to actually take me or allow me to get that inspiration that I'm wanting right now, or get the education or the knowledge that I need to go out there and be able to do what it is that I want to do with my horse tomorrow. Awesome, guys. I think that's kind of the crux of what I wanted to talk about. But if you've got any questions, please let me know. Interested to know what your focus is for this year. Do you have what is your practice? Like, do you have a daily practice that you commit to? What is it that you actually need to commit to on a daily basis in order to bring your dreams and visions to life? And is that process and path clear to you right now? Or is that something that's kind of ambiguous and you're not quite sure where it's heading? Because I'm more than happy to help. So fire away. All right, guys, I think it's the last session that we've got tomorrow in this particular series. Obviously, not the last session, full stop, because I'll be regularly jumping on board to have chats. But if you have any ideas for topics or questions that you would like me to discuss, then absolutely open to those. And basically, I'll be back here again tomorrow. Have a fabulous day. I'll talk to you soon.